everyone, welcome back / long time no speak. I know I've been gone for a while, but I just once again had to get into my own groove and focus on myself. But I'm finally back, and today we are going to be continuing on with the planets through the 12th house, starting off with Moon, or going back to where we left off, the Moon / Cancer in the 12th house. For the previous 3 that I've done, because I've only done 3, you haven't missed much. For those who are new, you haven't missed much. I only did 3 videos prior to this one. So if you missed those through the 12th house and the connection to our karmic paths, if you have that placement, I will place those links in the description box below. But with all that being said, let's finally hop into the Moon / Cancer in the 12th house. So the first thing, of course, that you think about when it comes to the Moon and Cancer is moody, moods, and emotion. And if you have thought that, that means that you are well on your way in this astrology world, and you're correct. There's obviously more to it than what I just said. But yeah, if you're thinking about the Moon in relation to Cancer and how emotional the Moon can be through all of our personal charts, how it is basically the way we feel, how we react based off of those feelings, our natural instinctual reactions to things. But it doesn't just represent that. Of course, what I love most that it represents is the family, the home. More specific, the mother. That is what the Moon represents. It's the mother, the way that we were raised, the way that we interact with our family members, our home environments, our home body life. And once again, because that's very important, is knowing that the Moon represents our instinctual emotion that affects our moods, which is why Cancer, the sign, is always known as the moody one. It didn't really provide that cool of a Greek mythology story in relation to Cancer, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I think some people really enjoyed me telling the historical impact of why these zodiac signs were the chosen ones. So I'll just tell the story that is not so exciting but still important. So the story of the crab, or Cancer, essentially what happened is Hercules, we all know Hercules, right? The demigod, which is, if you don't already know, if you've never seen Percy Jackson, a demigod is half god, half human. So Hercules' father, Jupiter, made love to a mortal woman, and that is how Hercules came about. And because of that, Jupiter's true wife, the real wife that he cheated on, Juno, was extremely jealous and very possessive, so spends a lot of her time trying to kill Hercules. And while Hercules is off on one of his journeys, I forget what this journey is, but it's 12 labor something. I'll put that in the video somewhere. But along this journey, he has to face a new challenge 12 times and defeat it in order to survive. And one of those challenges, of course, is run by Juno. And what Juno decides to do is, while Hercules is fighting this huge monstrous monster with like all these heads, she decides to send Cancer, the crab, over there to attack while he's already trying to kill this monster. And this monster is serious, okay? Apparently, every time he cuts off a head, 2 new ones grow at a very quick, rapid pace. So he don't need this crab coming in his business, screwing up his entire focus, whatever. Unfortunately for the crab does not succeed. I think the crab bites into Hercules' foot or something that was supposed to inflict crazy pain and throw him off his game. But he ends up crushing the crab, killing the crab. And even though Juno was really upset that the crab did not defeat Hercules like she intended, she respects the crab and respects that he was willing to put himself out there for her. So for that, crab Cancer got its own constellation and of course its own zodiac sign within the entire wheel. And that story is important because it just shows the part that I'm very familiar with, which is the loyalty of Cancers. When they really care about you and love you, it's almost like a forever thing. So they're always going to be there for you. Unfortunately, not everybody's always going to be there for them, and that's something that they have to learn. But that's the story. That's the Greek mythology story of Cancer the crab. So let's focus in on more about the Moon in the 12th house. So, if you have moon in the 12th house, the first thing that you are going to notice, or the first thing that you should know about yourself if you have this placement, is that you have very intense psychic abilities. We're talking about the moon / Cancer in combination with the 12th house / Pisces, which is also a very, very intuitive sign, just in different ways. I think Cancer represents more so the beginning stages of psychic abilities, and Pisces is like the years and years and karmic cycle after karmic cycle, like that power and wisdom within psychic abilities, like really knowing the unknown. Whereas I think Cancer is more so dealing with a one-on-one experience, like every minute, every second, every day, depending on who they're interacting with. It's that type of psychic ability, if that makes any sense. It all interchanges, but back to the point that we're trying to make. So yes, psychic abilities. If you have this placement, you probably have a really hard time, separating how you feel and react to others surrounding you. And that is why it's really important, if you have this placement, it is extremely important for you to seclude yourself and have moments where you can recharge and regain your strength after being surrounded by so many people. It's best for you to have solitude after being surrounded and being interactive with others for a long period of time. That way you can regain your strength and start to separate versus merge with everything that could possibly be overwhelming you. However, if you are one of those people who does not necessarily like to be alone and you don't want to practice solitude and regaining or recharging in that way, the only alternative, which quite frankly you should be doing this regardless of how you like to interact with people, the only option outside of that would be for you to seriously learn how to control your emotions, control everything about your emotions, because it's the moon, it's moody, it's all over the place for the most part, depending on how people or their situations or their thoughts make them feel. So if you're not going to seclude yourself in order to recharge, you're probably going to have to put even more effort in controlling the way you react to everything. The part of this placement that really, really interests me is when it comes to psychological issues stemming from infancy or childhood. This is a very big one for this placement. People with this placement, and depending on how it's aspected, because if it's aspected in a negative way, more times than not, you probably have a lot of issues with woman, with the mother, and with children, because once again the moon is the mother. It's nurturing, it's all things associated with our childhood in the home. So that could be a really triggering and or difficult part of your life for you, dealing with women, children, and once again your mother. But despite possibly having issues with your mother, which can come in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't have to necessarily mean that your mother is a bad person. It could just be one of those situations where your mother tends to be pulled in all different types of directions. So maybe in your childhood you didn't really get nurtured by your mother in the way that you would have liked to, because she was so busy all the time trying to take care of you in other ways, and then you internalize that and it hurts you. Or another way that this could come about is maybe your mother actually passed away before you were able to really get to know her, and even though that may have been years and years ago, it still affects you to this day, and not necessarily affect you in a only negative way. Just your mother's presence is probably a very strong part of your life, whether in death or in the afterlife. The connection with the mother is very, very strong with this placement. And another thing that really interests me about this placement is, this is one of those placements that is really, really linked to a past life or a karmic situation. So if you have this placement, there may be a lot of unfinished business that you have to attend to in this lifetime. Something else about having the moon in the 12th house is that there tends to be an air of mystery with this person. I've met a few moon in 12th house individuals, and this is very, very true. It's like I can't explain it, but you know that they're not giving you everything. You know that there's something hidden about them. You know that in a way they're living a double life. Another thing that comes with this placement a lot is secret affairs. I think I got into that a bit with Venus in the 12th house. It's the same thing with moon in the 12th house. And affairs of all kinds, just any type of vague, secretive thing that you can think of. I won't say certain examples because God forbid I say something, they're like, oh, that's not a negative. Why would somebody keep it a secret? People keep all different types of things a secret, okay? Things that, for me, this girl who puts her business out there like all the time, I never understand why people lie and keep secrets the way that they do. But in a way I do. People are mean, unkind, all that. But for me, so yeah, this is a very big one. Living a double life when you have moon in the 12th house. And something that I think that I forgot to mention in regards to, you know, possibly having issues with your mother in this lifetime with moon in the 12th house. Something that's also connected to that is honestly this person's desire to be in a womb-like state. And I don't know if I brought this up or not, maybe in one of my past videos, but I'll bring it up again anyway. People who have moon in the 12th house or moon placements that are a little afflicted, it's almost like they're searching for that life before they were actually born into this current reality, which is why there's probably that strong connection with the mother. Unfortunately, that is not why they are here on this earth. Why they are here on this earth, probably not the only reason, but one of the big reasons if you have a placement like this. On the more positive side, these people are really great caregivers. They're really good at taking care of the ones that they love. Even people, if they don't know them that well, they are, you know, the sacrificial lambs, I guess. The martyrs, because Pisces in 12th house and Neptune is all associated with being a martyr for better or for worse. And if you have moon in the 12th house, same thing. You are probably very naturally good at taking care of the people around you, loving the people around you, you know, all that. So now we're going to finally get into Cancer in the 12th house, more specifically, and in regards to your karmic past and what you are meant to explore or understand in this lifetime. Also the challenges that you're like, why does this keep happening to me? Well, this is why, sweetie. This is why. If you have Cancer in the 12th house, your karmic past is obviously going to be related to your family life. It is more than likely going to be related to either you doing a family member wrong or a family member doing you wrong, causing you harm, whether it be psychological or physical. Especially if there's Mars and Pluto in the mix, if you have your moon aspecting these types of planets, or Aries or Scorpio or whatever, if you have that, then 9 times out of 10, this placement, moon in 12th house, is also associated with violence. So the type of abuse that is just disgusting, like sexual abuse from family, violence in general, just danger, all types of ways that you can be backstabbed by your family members, I guess. And either you could have been the backstabber or somebody was backstabbing you. Neglect is also a part of this. But also what I want to mention when it comes to your karmic past, if you happen to be the victim, in this lifetime, you probably have a chart that is promoting your healing process from the trauma that is stemming from your past. So you have a chart that is promoting you healing, and you probably have a lot more of a support system in this lifetime, a lot more friends and a lot more people being there for you. Or if you were the perpetrator, if you were the person causing harm, in this lifetime, it's probably going to be a battle for power. You probably feel very powerless in this lifetime, and that's done on purpose because it's meant to teach you compassion and how to care for others in a more proper way. If you were the perpetrator, you could also be, you know, a victim in this lifetime of mental illness or mental disorders that are once again placing you in a position of no power. But more specific and important with those individuals who may have struggled with mental illness and all of that, it's meant to teach you empathy. It's meant to teach you compassion. That is why you may end up having these issues in this lifetime. Or you, once again, like how I was saying earlier, you in this lifetime have issues with women, children, all of that. That could be connected to that as well. That's why you have to learn in this lifetime. And I find that very interesting because once upon a time I had a roommate and we used to talk about this type of stuff all the time. I love attracting people who love talking about astrology and past lives and spirituality as much as I do. And she gave me a really interesting perspective. Nothing's too original, but something that I understood and knew because I've always thought it. But you know how people think, oh, if you were a slave owner in the past life, in this life you're probably black, suffering from all the bad things that you said. She was saying something along the lines of that, but I guess more intimate versus the typical, oh, now I'm black in this lifetime because I was white in the past. Like, no, she made it more intimate. It was like, oh, instead of me being your slave, I'm now your father in this lifetime and you're my son. And those feelings are still there, but you don't know why. And that is why I love talking about stuff like this. There's also things like past life regressions, which I'm really into. And, you know, of course, I intend to do this myself in my, you know, near future. If you don't know what past life regression is, I seriously recommend you look it up. It's very, very interesting, and it kind of shows why there are certain people in our lives, whether they're in our family, our friend group, whoever. It's like you, even when you just meet them, they just give you this feeling of anger or untrust, or those people who give you an instant reaction that is not necessarily good. Past life regression will tap into all of that. They'll be like, oh, you don't like that one girl down the street because in a past life she was your cousin and stabbed you, or something like that. Like these types of things. It's very interesting. You can think I'm crazy if you want, but I seriously suggest you look into it. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. That is all that I have for Cancer / the moon / Cancer in the 12th house. And I'm going to create more videos. Next time we're going to be talking about the sun. Yeah, the sun in the 12th house. Sun / Leo in the 12th house. So this should be interesting. Bye-bye.